Most people believe they're passive witnesses to a reality that unfolds regardless of their attention. They think circumstances happen to them, that the world exists independently, solid and fixed, waiting to be discovered. But quantum alignment reveals something far more radical. Reality doesn't exist until you observe it. Your focus isn't a flashlight illuminating what's already there. It's the brush painting the canvas into existence, stroke by stroke, moment by moment. The universe isn't showing you what is. It's materializing what you're tuned into. Here's the belief that keeps most people trapped. I'll focus on it when I see it. But that's backwards. The quantum field responds to observation first, manifestation second. You're not meant to wait for proof before you give your attention. You're meant to give your attention, and that becomes the proof. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why everything you've been chasing has remained out of reach, and how to collapse it into form by doing the one thing you've been taught not to do. Observe as if it's already here. If this resonates, subscribe now. You're not here by chance. You're here because a version of you is ready to remember. And in the comments, write this: I am the conscious observer of my reality. Let that land in your body as you type it. Let it become you. The observer effect is not a metaphor. It's the mechanical foundation of reality itself. In quantum physics, particles exist in a state of pure potential, a cloud of probability, until the moment they're observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function. It forces the particle to choose a position, a state, a form. Before that, it's everything and nothing. After that, it's one thing: solid, real, measurable. Now translate that to your life. Everything you want, the relationship, the bank account, the version of yourself that feels free, embodied, magnetic, exists right now in the quantum field as potential, not as fantasy, as frequency, as energetic truth. It's already there, but it remains in superposition, unmanifested until you observe it. And observation, in the language of consciousness, means focus infused with feeling. It means attention married to identity. It means seeing it so clearly within that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back. This is where most people collapse, not the wave function, but their own belief. They look at their current circumstances and they observe that. They focus on the empty bank account, the silent phone, the unchanging reflection in the mirror. And because they're observing it, they're feeding it. They're collapsing that version of reality over and over again. They think they're being realistic, but they're actually being creative. They're using the observer effect against themselves. You've been taught that focus is about effort, that if you want something, you stare at the gap between here and there, and you push. You analyze, you strategize. You try to figure out how to get from point A to point B. But quantum alignment doesn't work through effort. It works through frequency, and frequency isn't about doing, it's about being. It's about where you place your conscious awareness and what you allow that awareness to feel. Every time you focus on lack, you're observing lack. And the quantum field, which is infinitely obedient, says, yes, this is what you're looking at. Let me make more of this for you. Every time you focus on the absence of love, you're collapsing a reality where love is absent. Every time you observe yourself as stuck, you're choosing the timeline where stickiness is the dominant frequency. You're not a victim of your circumstances, you're the one holding the lens, and the lens is always creating. But here's the truth that changes everything. You can shift the lens. Right now. Not tomorrow. Not when things get better. Now. Because the quantum field doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your story. It doesn't even care about your current conditions. It only cares about what you're observing in this moment. And the moment you shift your focus, the moment you begin observing the version of reality you want as if it's already here, the field begins to reorganize itself around that frequency. This is not visualization in the way you've been taught. It's not daydreaming, it's not pretending. It's observation with the full weight of your being. It's looking at the energetic signature of your desire and recognizing it as already materialized in another layer of existence. It's training your awareness to see beyond the five senses, beyond the physical evidence, and into the realm where all things already are. And when you do that, when you observe from the end, from the place of fulfillment, you activate the collapse. You pull that reality out of the quantum soup and into form. Let me be clear, this isn't about ignoring your current reality. It's about refusing to give it the power of your sustained attention. You can acknowledge where you are without worshiping it. You can see the empty inbox without making it your identity. You can notice the numbers in your bank account without collapsing into the story that they define you. Observation without attachment. Awareness without enslavement. That's the key. The reason most people fail at manifestation is because they observe intermittently. They focus on their desire for 5 minutes during meditation, and then they spend the next 23 hours and 55 minutes observing its absence. They check their phone for proof. They scan their environment for evidence. They ask friends if it's working. And every single one of those actions is an act of observation. Observation of the lack. And the quantum field, ever faithful, responds accordingly. It says, "You're looking for proof that it's not here yet? Let me show you more of that." This is why the frequency of certainty is so crucial. When you know something is yours, you stop checking. You stop seeking external validation. You stop obsessing over the how and the when. You simply live as the person for whom it's already done. And that version of you, that energetic signature, is what the quantum field reads. Not your words, not your wishes, your state, your frequency, your sustained observation. And here's where it gets even deeper. The observer isn't your ego. Your ego is the part of you that's terrified of being wrong, of looking foolish, of investing belief in something that hasn't shown up yet. The ego observes through fear. It measures, it compares, it waits for permission from the outside world before it commits. But the true observer, the quantum self, doesn't need permission. It doesn't need proof. It observes from a place of knowing, not hoping. It sees the invisible and treats it as more real than the visible. When you observe as the quantum self, you're not trying to convince yourself of anything. You're not forcing belief. You're simply resting in the frequency of the thing being done. You're feeling the texture of that reality as if your 5 senses are already reporting it back to you. You're seeing yourself move through the world as that version. You're hearing the words people say to you in that timeline. You're feeling the weight of that bank balance, the warmth of that love, the ease of that version of your body. And you're doing this without strain, without neediness, without the desperation that repels. Because here's the paradox. The more you need to see it in the physical, the more you prove to the quantum field that you don't actually believe it's yours. Need is observation of absence. Desperation is observation of lack. And both of those states collapse a reality that matches them. But when you observe with calm certainty, when you look at the invisible with the same relaxed confidence you'd look at a tree or a chair, you collapse the timeline where it's already materialized. You've been told that belief is hard, that faith is a leap. But belief isn't something you manufacture, it's something you remember. You're not trying to convince yourself that the quantum field works. You're remembering that you've been using it your entire life. Every single thing in your current reality, the good, the bad, the neutral, was collapsed into form because you observed it first. You focused on it. You felt it. You identified with it. And the field delivered. So the question isn't whether the observer effect works. The question is, what are you observing? And more importantly, are you observing consciously, or are you observing by default? Because default observation is what keeps people stuck. It's the automatic focus on problems, on fears, on what's missing. It's the habitual pattern of scanning for threats, for proof of unworthiness, for evidence that life is hard. And all of that is observation. All of that is creation. But conscious observation? That's sovereignty. That's when you take the pen back. That's when you stop letting your past, your environment, your conditioning decide what you focus on. You become the deliberate chooser, the intentional observer. The one who says, I know what's in front of me, but I'm choosing to observe what I'm calling in. And the quantum field, which has no agenda, no judgment, no preference, simply says, okay, let me show you that. This is why your internal world is everything. Because your internal world is where observation happens. It's where you focus. It's where you feel. It's where you decide what's real. And the quantum field doesn't distinguish between internal and external. It doesn't say, oh, that's just in your head, so it doesn't count. No. It reads the frequency of your observation and matches it. It materializes the reality that corresponds to what you're tuned into. So if you're internally observing abundance, ease, love, freedom, if that's the dominant channel you're locked onto, then that's what begins to show up in your external experience. But if you're internally observing fear, doubt, scarcity, unworthiness, then no amount of external action will override that signal. You can hustle, you can network, you can try to force the outcome, but if your observation is misaligned, the field will keep reflecting the misalignment back to you, not as punishment, as feedback, as a mirror showing you exactly what you're broadcasting. This is also why letting go is so powerful, because letting go is the ultimate act of observation without attachment. It's saying, I see what I want, I feel it as real, and now I release my grip on it. And that release, that surrender, is what allows the quantum field to move. Because as long as you're clutching, you're observing from need, and need repels. But when you let go, you're observing from wholeness, from trust, from the frequency of already having, and that frequency magnetizes. You're not here to force reality into submission. You're here to observe it into form. And that observation is gentle, it's patient, it's unwavering. It doesn't beg, it doesn't plead, it doesn't check the 3D every 5 minutes for validation. It simply holds the gaze. It focuses on the feeling. It identifies with the version of self for whom the desire is already fulfilled. And it does this until the outer world catches up, not because it has to, but because it has no other choice. The quantum field is a mirror, and mirrors reflect what's placed in front of them. So here's the practice. For the next 7 days, commit to observing only what you want to experience, not as future, not as someday, as now. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you let the external world dictate your frequency, spend 5 minutes observing your desired reality as if it's your current reality. Feel the feelings, see the images, hear the sounds. Let your body believe it's already living it. And then, as you move through your day, every time you notice yourself observing lack, the empty, the missing, the not yet, gently redirect your focus, not with force, with choice, with sovereignty. Say to yourself, that's one timeline, but I'm observing this one, because that's all manifestation is. It's sustained, focused, emotionally infused observation of the reality you're calling in. It's treating the invisible as visible, the intangible as tangible, the not yet as already done. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes, the less effort it takes, until one day you realize you're no longer trying to manifest. You're just living as the version of you who already has it. And the quantum field, ever faithful, is reflecting that back to you in form, in matter, in physical proof. You are not powerless. You never were. You've just been observing the wrong thing. And now you know. Your focus isn't passive. It's not neutral. It's the most powerful creative tool you have. It's the bridge between the quantum field and physical reality. It's the difference between living by default and living by design. So choose what you observe. Choose it consciously. Choose it consistently. Because what you see, truly see, with the full weight of your being, that's what becomes. The version of you that has everything you desire already exists. It's not waiting to be created. It's waiting to be observed. So stop looking at the lack, stop measuring the gap, stop waiting for proof, and start seeing through the eyes of the one who already is. Because the moment you do, the quantum field begins to collapse that reality into your experience. Not because you deserved it, not because you earned it, but because you observed it. And observation, in the language of the quantum field, is creation itself. You are the observer, the creator, the collapser of infinite possibilities into singular form, and everything you've been reaching for is already here, waiting for you to finally see it. So see it, now.